The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 15-Point Plan with your hosts, Ryan Gregg, and my partner, Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
I am wonderful as well, and I'm so happy to be here again. It's another episode of the 15-Point Plan. This is season 4, Jacqueline, and you and I have been given the opportunity to run with the torch that our partners, Chad Hyams and Jeline Snell, have so perfectly laid down, and we're just so excited to be here and to talk about the 15-Point Plan. The last couple episodes, you got to know Jacqueline and myself a little bit more personally. We told you a little bit about our stories and about how the plan has really impacted and affected our lives as well as the community around us. And on today's episode, Jacqueline, we're excited to get into the first point. We're excited to start talking about goals, right?
Absolutely. I think it's such a great, time of year too. I know January, a lot of people have set, goals either for their business or their health or personal financial goals. So I'm excited to kind of dive in and have a conversation with you about this. We were recently on a call with Brendan Burchard, and he talked about this aspect of dumb goals versus smart goals. And you and I had a bit of a conversation about that. So I'm excited just to kind of hear your take on goals and how you set them and to just talk about it.
That's right. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I also love acronyms. That's why I love this particular topic, because we have SMART goals versus dumb goals today. And I was really blown away when our partner, Brendan Burchard, called them dumb goals, Jacqueline, because I've kind of grown up with this idea of a SMART goal. And we'll get into that, and we'll get into what those acronyms mean. But, I was doing a little research, Jacqueline, and I had to share this because we've talked a lot about writing down our goals and the importance between writing down our goals. And so I was doing a little research on what that looked like. And the research that I found is actually pretty astounding. And there's a couple different numbers, but I'm seeing on average, Jacqueline, that they say that people who write down their goals are on average about 30 to 40% more likely to achieve those goals than those that don't. So let me make sure everybody heard that. People that write down their goals and actively look at them are 30 to 40% on average more likely to hit those goals. And they really give you 3 reasons as to why that is. Number 1 is the clarity, right? We know that if we're going to write something down, we're going to have to be pretty clear on what those goals look like and what it might take to achieve them. Number 2 is then we have accountability. So when we write those goals down, it's going to create a sense of accountability for us. And it's going to give us that tangible reminder of what we're working towards. But then lastly, Jacqueline, the third thing is that it's going to be embedded into our memory, and that writing those goals down is going to help us remember them better. And then when we look at them and we have something maybe like a vision board, they're going to be right there for us to constantly be in our memory, and we're going to be more likely to hit those. So I thought that was worth sharing, that when we make our goals smart or dumb, that we really want to write them down, and we want to put them into a place where we can see them regularly. We might even translate those written goals down into something cool like an actual vision board. So we have a visual aspect of what those things are and how they're going to impact our life so that we can see them every single day and work towards them. Jacqueline, did you want to add anything to those ideas, writing the goals down and how that impacts our life?
I just think it's such a simple thing that you can do that has such a huge impact on your potential, to reach those goals. So just by writing them down often, that 40% increase is huge. I have a friend actually who really dramatically changed her life, her financial position, her family's life. And she did that. She wrote her goals down every single morning. She wrote them down 10 times over and over again, like she was writing lines, back in elementary school. She would write it over and over again. And she shares that story. And I'll always remember it, that just by simply writing them down, how much, more effective you'll be in achieving them. The whole thing about the dumb goals for me was really impactful, actually, because I've always set goals that way, kind of dumb goals. And that's an acronym for dream driven goals is part of it. And I think that there's something really profound when you set a goal that is dream driven And for me, goals are about self-transformation and personal growth. And, you know, for me, I like my goals to force me, in a sense, to become more of who I am and to, experience more of my potential and to really grow as a human, as a leader, as a business owner. And I find that if I set realistic goals from where I'm sitting today, it's like Jacqueline today can do that. And that's why it's realistic. And for me, because I'm so growth minded and growth driven, I want them to be huge goals that will force me to think differently, that will force me to have and experience transformation in my life. And whenever I haven't set dream driven goals, I haven't experienced that growth in my life. And so when he said that, it really articulated for me, I think, an experience that I've had year after year and just some things that I had noticed about my own journey with goals. And so I think it's really important to have dream driven goals, but then maybe having those smart plans on what are the activities that your dream driven goals would require of you. Who would you have to become in order to execute that smart plan and achieve the dream driven goal that you've set for yourself? I think that when you have the dream driven goals, the dumb goals, and then you have the smart plan, I mean, I think that's a recipe for amazing transformation.
I hope everybody was listening to those last couple minutes that you just talked about, Jacqueline, because that was incredibly impactful. I think you really summarized that perfectly. And what I took away from that is the goal is like the vehicle to help us become the person we want to become. If our goal isn't big, if we set a goal and we think to ourselves, yeah, I can do that, it's probably just not big enough to begin with, right? And that's where that big dream driven idea comes in. But I love how you said that it's all about the transformation. Like the goal is just a vehicle to help us transform into the person that we want to become. Are we dreaming big enough? And then are we acting like the person that our dreams are going to require us to be? I think you really summarized that quite nice. Plus the combination of the dumb goals with the smart plans. Let me read these. So a dumb goal, right? Dumb, DUMB. D for dream driven, U for uplifting, M for method driven, and B for behavior triggered, right? That's the definition of a dumb goal, as opposed to a smart goal, which we've probably heard. Smart, S is for specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is realistic, and T is timely or time bound. And I think you really nailed that, Jacqueline, that our goals should be dumb, but our plan should be smart. And I really took that away from this call. But like look at the difference in the wording on that. Dream driven, uplifting. Are my goals uplifting? Are they my dreams? Or are they just some number? Right? Because
Mhm.
we're just shooting after a number. Are we going to change? Are we going to transform like you talked about? I don't know that we will, as if we're shooting towards a goal that I tell you, Jacqueline, I want to do this. And you go, how the heck are you going to do that? And you say, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it. And then, looking at the SMART goals, time bound. I think it's good to have a focus on a time bound goal. But I think a lot of our dream driven goals, a lot of our uplifting goals, they might not necessarily have a time frame on them. And we just know we're going to hit them. It might take a little bit longer, it might come shorter, but we're going to hit those dang goals because that's a dream of ours. And never to give up on those dreams. So I'm like getting this permission again to think bigger, right? By you saying
Absolutely.
that. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. So I think one thing that's been on my mind lately is how do we reconcile these two, right? So we've got these dream driven goals that are uplifting, method driven, and behavior triggered. And then we've got this SMART plan, which are the activities that we would have to execute on in order to achieve that dream driven goal that we've set. And what I see often is that when we're not executing on or at least working towards executing that SMART plan, and we just have the dream driven goal, well, now we're kind of in la la land, right? So for me, for example, I have a huge goal for this year, and I have the SMART plan all broken down. So I know exactly what I'd have to be doing. And do I do it at 100% every day? Absolutely not, right? Life happens, things get in the way, but but I'm paying attention, and I'm being honest with myself about, am I, you know, at some point I have to force myself to execute that plan. Like, for one day, can I do it for one day? Can I do it for 2 days? Can I do it for 1 week? Can I do it for 2 weeks? And over time, kind of ironing out that consistency. But if I'm just kind of ignoring the goal and ignoring the SMART plan, and I just have the goal, I mean, having the goal is great, but if we're not willing to execute on the plan and become the kind of person that goal requires, then we're almost just setting ourselves up for failure. And then that can be discouraging. And then that's where we don't want to write our goals down, and we don't want to talk about our goals, and they're not uplifting anymore because we feel like we're failing at it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I had the privilege, Jacqueline. Last week I was at a mastermind, and a lot of people on this call have probably seen the movie Rudy. Have you seen that movie, Rudy, the old football movie? So I got to meet the actual Rudy last week. He's now 75 years old. He came to speak to a small group of us. And one thing Rudy talked about, because Rudy had this dream, right? Like from when he was a kid to play football at Notre Dame. But Rudy was like 5'0" nothing, weighed 100 nothing. So like everybody in his life told Rudy, dude, that's cool, but I don't know if that's realistic. And what the 75-year-old Rudy said was, when we have these dream-driven goals in our heads, we got to be careful about how we talk about them. And I know we've talked about that. Like, we should write them down, yes, and we should talk about them so that now we have a form of accountability. But what I've seen is this issue that some of the people that maybe love us the most are gonna put doubt. They're gonna plant those seeds of doubt into our head. They're gonna say, Jacqueline, that's a really cool goal, but are you sure?
Yeah.
Or Ryan, that's like really cool that you want to go from being a DJ to becoming a realtor, but are you sure? And we start to plant seeds. So Rudy said it so perfectly. He said, your people are going to plant seeds of doubt, and you probably can't cut them out of your life because most of them probably love you. He said, you just smile at them. And you say, yep, I'm sure. I'm sure, damn it. And it was really cool to hear him of his story to becoming a college athlete when everybody doubted him. So being mindful of when we write down these goals, dream big, right? Think big. There is no goal that is too big. And if we think we can achieve it, then maybe we can think a little bit bigger and share those goals with people. But if and when the people in our life question them or say something that makes us start to doubt them, just smile at them. No, that's okay. That's not their goal. This is our dream. And if we just keep burning the fire every single day, working towards it, really anything is possible, and we can do anything that we set our hearts out to do.
Yeah. And I think that, the dream driven goals, they still do require a level of commitment. And I think sometimes, we can have people that love us the most, and they just don't believe in us or in the goal maybe. And we can kind of, I guess, exasperate that if our commitments are not in alignment with those goals. And so I read this thing from James Clear the other day, and it said, if you commit to nothing, you'll be distracted by everything. So I think when you choose a goal, dream driven, uplifting, method driven, behaviorally triggered, you want to commit to that goal too, right? Even though it may seem far-fetched and you're thinking big, don't let that be a reason that you don't commit to the smart activities and the smart plan that dream requires. The dream and the goal informs your behavior. And so I know in every moment, am I being the person that my dreams require, or am I being the person that my goals that I set last year requires? Right. And that's a question that I ask myself every single day is, am I being the person that my dream driven goal requires? Am I Am I exercising the behaviors that my goals require? Am I showing up? Am I doing the things, the SMART goals, the SMART plan that my dream require?
I think, Jacqueline, that is the perfect place to end with our listeners today. That question to ask themselves, right? Are we being the person that our dreams require? Because we know, like you said, our goal informs our behavior. You just gave so much value on this podcast, Jacqueline. Thank you. And I encourage our listeners between now and the next podcast, go sit quietly and meditate on that question, right? Are you being the person that your dreams require? And do you have dream-driven goals? This is the 15-point plan. Jacqueline Smith, Ryan Gregg. Make sure that you're following us on all social media networks. Make sure that you're going to winmakegive.com, 15pointplan.com. Check the Facebook group, right? 15-point plan. And Jacqueline, I think that's it for today. Anything else before we let them go and they go dream big on these goals?
Nope. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Ryan, for being an awesome co-host. We'll see you all next time.
See you next week, everybody. Have a great rest of your day and a great week.
Hi, Chad Himes here, and I want to let you know about my podcast, Achieve Your Apex, on the Win, Make, Give podcast network. If you're ready to unlock your full potential, then Achieve Your Apex is right for you. Join me as we go on a journey to becoming your best self. Using my best-selling book as our guide, I'll share practical tips, inspiring stories, and fantastic interviews so you can achieve your apex. Whether it's personal development, career success, or mastering your mindset, we've got you covered. Subscribe now to Achieve Your Apex wherever you get your podcasts and start your transformation today.